Welcome to the Virginia is for Laughers podcast, brought to you by X2 Comedy. If you're looking to get more out of your Shenandoah Valley experience, then this is the podcast for you. You'll meet interesting people, the comedians that perform here, and find out more about what you can do and see. Whether you live here or plan to visit, listen to explore what helps make up our unique slice of heaven. Now here's your host, Dawn Davis Womack.
Hello, Laughers. I'm thrilled to introduce you to Terry Dean from The Wishing Well, a travel, event planning, and florist boutique where wishes really do come true. Terry is the spark behind The Wishing Well. Having over 40 years experience in the corporate and leisure travel industry, her focus is on the details and the aspects of every travel request, taking great care to customize travel experiences to each traveler's desires. Terry holds a certification in business etiquette and international protocol, an essential skill when planning, orchestrating, and executing weddings, anniversaries, and other special events with a flair and within budget. Welcome to the show, Terry. It's great to have you on today.
Thank you so much, Dawn. It's so great to be here with you on Virginia's for Laughers. I think of a better piece of medicine that we all need right now, and that is to laugh. But listening to that introduction, thank you so much. I'm really impressed with myself right now.
Yeah, it seems you've gained a few skills over 40 years.
Oh, I'll tell you. Yeah, to be 20 years old, I'm pretty good, right?
And you look it too.
Oh, thank you so much. It really is wonderful to be here with you. And I really was looking forward to this and spending some time with you, because I knew we were going to have a good time. And already you haven't proved me wrong.
Ah, well, you're one of my favorite people on this planet, Terry. So I couldn't wait to share with the Laughers, not only just you and your personality, but your wealth of experience, your heart, and your passion for what you're doing, including travel, which is one of my favorite things. So
good. Yeah. I love it when people say they love travel because it is my heart and soul. It's, it's something I can't imagine doing without. It's kind of like food and water. You need it.
Yeah, I agree, because your eyes open to the greater world beyond yourself and how...
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
How magnificent it really is and how big and beautiful our world can
I
be.
never thought I would actually be able to see the world as I do now. So, it's just been a wonderful career and one that I would not trade in for anything else I've ever seen. I love what I do.
Yes. Yeah. And I can't wait to get into it. I want to start with kind of what inspired you to open The Wishing Well. It was founded in the Shenandoah Valley in 2007. Tell us the story of how you opened up your boutique.
Yep. So I've actually been in the hospitality industry for well over 40 plus years. And it was during part of that time in the early 2000s that the Wishing Well sort of was birthed in my mind. I had the idea for it that I felt like travel and events should all be combined under one roof because it just goes together so well when you talk about hospitality. And I talked to a few people about it, just really never had the right time or the right traction for it. But then life happened. I actually was at a career point in my life where I lost my job. Because a company was downsizing. So I lost the job that I had. My father passed away, who was one of my big proponents of the Wishing Well. He always thought it was a great idea. And I'll never forget what he said to me just before I decided to pursue this. He looked at the brochure and he said, "You can do this. You can do this." And it was after his passing that I remembered his words. They were ingrained in my mind and in my heart. And I actually decided to take him up on it. And I thought, you know what? I think I can do this. Well, in the height of one of our worst recessions, I opened the doors of the Wishing Well, and we've never looked back. It's been one of the most amazing, one of the most successful events of my life. Mm-hmm. So I'm really thrilled to offer, our area and our community all the services that they can find at the Wishing Well. It's a wonderful experience, not just to work here, but to do business here.
Yeah, well, I am glad that your dad shared his faith in you.
Thank you so much. I am too. He was a good man.
Yes, definitely.
And a smart man. Yeah.
Absolutely. He had you, and now here we are. You're offering so much to our community and beyond. And I love how your boutique is described as a full service luxury concierge agency, though admittedly, if I'm honest, I'm not sure what that means exactly. So can you clarify, does this mean you primarily serve affluent customers?
You know, that's a misperception that a lot of people have about the Wishing Well, where in fact we serve people of all budgets, Dawn. We don't discriminate or say you have to do a certain level of trip planning in order to do business here. We don't. We do everything from simple car rentals all the way up to the most lavish and luxurious cruise trips and international trips. So we serve all budgets. To be a concierge in the travel industry just means that we basically, if you want to pare this down to its most simple terms, we listen. We listen to you. We make sure that your wishes do come true here at the Wishing Well. And in order to do that and facilitate the best possible means of a resolve to whatever it is you need or want, we have to listen.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I think that's important for us to know. And I wanted the laughers to hear that also, because that is a phrase that I thought might deter some people from giving you a call. Yeah.
Well, you know, it's interesting. You and I are kind of in similar boats in what we do. And in order for people to get the joke, they really sometimes have to be listening now, don't they?
That's exactly
and
right.
In order for a travel concierge to really get the trip right, we also have the same issue. We have to listen in order to get it right.
Yes. And you have a great track record. Taking care of details is among your specialty, and your event planning as well. And I imagine over the many years you've been serving customers, you have planned countless types of events. I'm curious. Yes. And I'm curious, what are the most unusual or memorable ones you have planned so far?
Yep. So that's an easy question. Because without a doubt, the event that I'm about to tell you about is very personal to me. I have a special needs daughter. That may be something that a lot of listeners, even my clients, don't always know. She's wonderful. She's a 33-year-old going on just absolute maturity. And she's about to run past me, I'm sure, in many, many things. But she's special needs. And every year we've been asked by Capernaum, which is sort of a extension of Young Life. It's the Young Life Christian Young People's Organization. Capernaum is the special need part of that. And they have a prom that they do every year at a wonderful facility in McGahkeysville called Bricks and Columns.
Oh, yes.
The Wishing Well has the great honor every year of being able to decorate and facilitate a beautiful prom for these kids that attend and are part of Capernaum. So if you want to know the event that is near and dear to my heart, without a doubt, that one comes to the top of the pile.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yes, I love Bricks and Columns. We had them on as a guest too. We did a comedy show. Yes, she's wonderful, Stephanie Pence. I just adore
Absolutely.
her. And I love working with her. We did our first comedy show out there this past February. We'll be coming back in November. It's just
and you know, the Wishing Well has been lucky enough too, speaking of Bricks and Columns, to actually be the coordinator of a lot of weddings that occur out there. Mm-hmm. We do celebration of life events too that are also quite unusual, but becoming quite in vogue, I would say, here in the Shenandoah Valley. It's something that in a lot of metropolitan cities has been around for quite some time. You know, a lot of folks have wakes and that kind of thing when someone passes, but now celebration of life events have really come into, as I said, into vogue. And we're starting to participate in a lot of those at an event planning level.
I want to hear a little bit more about that, because I don't think I've been to a celebration of life event that you're talking about. What are some key elements in this info
Yeah. So what
trend?
happened, Dawn, during COVID especially, is that loved ones were denied the opportunity to even be with their departed loved ones at a funeral. Funeral homes were literally just shut down from the public even coming in. And as a result, a lot of families held off on really memorializing their loved one until we have seen a break in these clouds that COVID produced for us. And now they're remembering their loved ones with maybe a reception, maybe some music. It's a time of laughter and fun and celebration and really looking at the life of the person that they had to let go of and show the world how grateful they were to have known them or have had them in their family. It's been a very honorable thing for us to be able to participate in.
That is really great. I'm actually excited about this trend a bit in the.
It is exciting.
Yeah. And the funerals can be very sad, understandably so. And
but we've spent far too much time the last 2 years being sad.
Yeah.
It's time for laughter.
Exactly. And I think that's a beautiful way to pay tribute to someone's life is the positive, feel-good feelings that they had.
Yeah, as do I.
On you and what they meant to you. So I'm loving this trend a lot. Mm-hmm. Which is a good segue into the next service that you all offer, because a part of Celebration of Life or remembering a loved one is through flowers. And you all offer a floral design service. I'm wondering, how is it unique in what you all do from going to a traditional florist shop that sells flowers exclusively?
Yeah. And I want to sort of paint that picture really for your listeners, for people who are tuning in today to the podcast, because not every flower shop is created equally. And here at the Wishing Well, what we have worked very hard to do for the 15 years that we've been around is to actually brand our look. And that's what makes us different. There are a lot of flower shops, if you will, that can create a flower arrangement where a flower arrangement is a flower arrangement is a flower arrangement. Here at the Wishing Well, our designs are branded, and I've insisted on that. We have a fabulous team of designers here, which are actually art majors from many of our local universities. And so we also have a very highly skilled level of designer that we have and that we employ here at the Wishing Well to deliver a wonderful product that people receive.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's way to take advantage of the local talent, Terry.
Right? I'm telling you. And local talent just emanates from the Shenandoah Valley. There's no question about it.
There is no question about that. Yeah, the uniqueness of the Wishing Well is the 3 different branches of service with the floral design, the event planning, and you have luxury travel services also, where you mention on your website that you have virtuoso travel advisors.
Yes,
and that was a new term for me also.
Well, we're just going to teach you all kinds of things today.
Yes, I'm going to get learned today.
Well, I've had the great luxury, I guess, and privilege in my 40 plus year career in the hospitality industry to work for several branches, if you will, of the travel industry. Some of those have included the Carlson travel brands, also American Express, and now Virtuoso. Virtuoso is kind of a hidden sleeper, but a powerhouse in the travel industry. It's the world's largest luxury travel network. And when people hear those words combined together, sometimes they back up, maybe Dawn, a little bit like you might have, and said, that's probably not for me. I'm probably not in that category. But don't be deceived by the words luxury travel network, because again, as I said, we serve all budgets and all types. It just means that all of the vendors and the companies that we work with we have vetted them so carefully that we are sure we're going to be able to please the most discerning traveler. And that can be anybody can be a discerning traveler, regardless of your budget. We just want to make sure that if we are trying to take on your travel request, that we can do it with the best product possible.
Okay. So is that why we would need one? Is mainly the proven product? You know, you're going to send them to a great hotel or a great location or both?
Yeah. Well,
okay.
Think about it. If you do your own travel online yourself, and you are in front of thousands of different properties or resorts, how do you know what to choose? Who tells you? Who sits there while you're looking and perusing and says, nobody whispers in your ear, I'm pretty sure, Dawn, that says, not that one. No. Not that one.
Sometimes they needed to.
Well, you might be looking at reviews and that kind of thing. You can never really even be sure anymore if those are legitimate reviews. Some are paid for. Some people are doing that belong to a different resort. You're not really sure what you're looking at. So the best possible way anymore for you to make sure that you're getting a great experience for your money and getting a good value for what you pay for a vacation is if you use a travel professional. And personally, I'd like to see everybody use a Virtuoso agent because I know what that product is, I know what it means, and I know what kind of product people will receive as a result.
Yeah, I needed to learn about this a long time ago.
Did you have some uh-ohs?
Yeah, I've had a few of those.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I'm so sorry.
I know.
Yeah,
well, I'm learning. Yeah.
There are a couple of times when you don't want to hear uh-oh. One is when you're traveling and another is when they're taking out your appendix. So, and that's my only joke, I promise.
It's a good one. I'm proud of it.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And you have
I'll be here all week.
We're having so much fun. Okay. You have group travel also. And right now there are a couple of offerings currently happening. One motor coach trip to Vermont for 6 days and 5 nights in June. And then there's another trip to Nashville for 5 days and 4 nights in September. Are the prices listed on your website, the total cost per person for the entire trip?
Yes, they are. And isn't that incredible?
Yes.
Most people have mind blown, when they look at these prices because, Dawn, they actually include kind of door-to-door service, if you will, because people don't even have to drive to go somewhere to get on the motor coach with these trips. It leaves literally from outside the door of the Wishing Well. So all you have to do is get to our facility and we'll take you there, bags and all. So it's quite a trip. It's all inclusive. Most all of your meals are included. You do get some free time because we know you may not want to be with, a busload of people 24/7. So everybody wants a little bit of their own time on these trips, and we get that. But for the most part, everything, all of the admissions to all of the entries that you need for museums, albeit wineries, whatever we're visiting, it's all included. Show tickets, all of that.
It's incredible. I had to ask that question on this interview today because I honestly I closed the web browser a couple of times, opened it back up. And I'm, yep, that's what it says.
That's what it says.
Just not making changing. Sure. Yeah.
And the incredible part about that is if you look at what gas prices are today, and to know that these are prices that we fixed before that happened, and we didn't move them, you can see even still what an incredible deal these really are.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, it was a bit unbelievable. So again, I had to ask the expert today, make sure I didn't miss fine print or something.
You missed nothing.
Yes, laughers, you must check this out. And then you have cruises also that you do. You are going on a cruise to Alaska next week.
We are actually guiding one. Uh-huh.
Yeah, you're guiding one. It's an all-inclusive region experience. And when we were setting up this interview and scheduling it, you were really excited about it. I could tell. And I was wondering if this was your first trip to Alaska and what you could tell us about this trip experience you all are about to embark on.
It's the first group trip that I've escorted to Alaska. This one is one for the ages. Let me tell you, again, we were so fortunate. We booked this during the height of COVID, so there was a bit of uncertainty, but the prices were phenomenal. So when I saw that, with the number of years experience I have, I looked at the price and went, that would sell. If everything is opened back up, we're going to have a home run. And to be sure, we have sold this out, but let me just give your listeners a little taste of what our visitors will experience on this trip. We're going to have first class airfare cross country to get to Anchorage, Alaska. And then we all have suites on this particular cruise with balconies. Many of these suites come with butler service. They will do everything. All of your drinks, all of your meals are included, even your shore excursions. And get this, Dawn, people like you and I love this. Even our laundry will be returned to us clean and ready to go home and unpack. So it's one of the most amazing experiences ever for us.
You're right about that. I go live on that ship forever.
Yes, I'm not going to want to come home, I'm sure.
It sounds delightful. Do you post pictures about these trips?
We will. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. And I'm going to try to talk our visitors that we have on this cruise to really participate and get people excited through their own picture posts about it.
Yeah, I think that would be neat for people to see, because this is something that you do annually, is offer a cruise trip of some kind, or no?
Actually, we have done groups before, but never with the luxury type cruise that we're doing this year with Regent. We do have another one coming up in July, which is another luxury cruise. It's with Cunard, and it's on the Queen's ship. It's on the Queen Mary 2, and we're excited about that. That's going to go up into New England and into Canada. So that one also filled up for us. We're so happy that people had this pent-up feeling and wanted to go traveling. We couldn't imagine anything more wonderful than the 2 awful years that we spent being cooped up. And believe me, that's torture for a travel person. And being in this industry, I couldn't wait to go somewhere. As a matter of fact, I took my own trip out of the country to Costa Rica during COVID, and have no regrets. Sorry, not sorry. And it was wonderful. Absolutely wonderful time.
Yeah, I'm ready to get out too. And you have cruises. You have specialists on your team that help the laughers or our listeners prepare or go on a cruise trip. What would be the advantages of working with your staff to plan a cruise trip for themselves or their families?
Yep. So I kind of liken it this way. Nobody would ever think of taking out their own appendix or their own wisdom teeth, or, handling their own case in court. I mean, some people do. How'd that work out for them? I'm not sure. But when it comes to travel, the same is true. You should probably rely, especially today, so many things, so many hundred things have changed since COVID related to the travel industry. Every day I meet with clients and go over documents with them before they go on their trip. And every day there's a lack of consistency with what one country does versus another, versus the Caribbean, versus a cruise line, versus an airline. So we're dealing with that. That's the new normal in our world today. And when it comes to travel, people need a professional. Please do not try this at home. This is something that you need somebody to hold your hand through these ropes and through the tough things that require decisions and paperwork. This is not something that we had to do 2 years ago, but it is something that's part of my normal everyday life today.
I would like to hear a little bit more about that. So what are some of the challenges or things that we need to be mindful of now that we didn't, more specifically, that we didn't come across pre-pandemic?
Yeah, testing is a big one.
Okay.
And then what happens once you get that test? And apprehensions are another thing that people are dealing with, Dawn, because in many cases, as we're recording this today, the rule is still if you're traveling internationally, in order to come back to the United States, you still have to test negative for COVID only 1 day prior to your return home. And that creates a lot of anxiety for a lot of folks who travel. So that's one of the things that we deal with. And then once you do test, and once you have a negative COVID test to go back home with, now you have to upload that to an airline's web app on your phone, your smartphone, and that produces what we call a QR code. And if you don't have this QR code, in many cases, you're denied boarding. So all of these things together produce some anxiety for folks that are traveling. And actually, in my podcast just last week, that was one of the items that we addressed, is that this is still one of the biggest hangs that a lot of foreigners who would otherwise come into the United States as a tourist have avoided our country because this testing still remains. And a lot of the other countries have foregone that and have waived that now. So we're still one of the countries holding on to that. And that creates a little apprehension for our travelers.
Okay, so what your team is able to do is walk through what's required and kind of reduce that anxiety, because now it's clear what needs to happen and it's much more manageable. Okay.
Even to the point where we provide our travelers with a brand new piece of technology. It's an app also that they put on their smartphones. And like the folks that I had visiting me today, picking up travel documents, I said this to them: you having this app on your phone is as good as me traveling with you. And that's comforting to people. With all the apprehensions that are taking place today in the travel industry, people need some kind of confidence. And if what I do here at the Wishing Well and the tools that I load into their toolbox before they travel give them that, then I've done my job.
That's comforting to me. Yeah, we're going to be talking about travel after this.
Then I've done my job.
You've totally done your job. You mentioned the podcast. I'm excited to talk about that for a minute too, because you're a host on another podcast called A Life Less Ordinary. It's a travel show. Yes, it's a travel show on iHeartRadio. I was listening to it before our interview today. It's a good show. Congratulations.
Thank you so
Terry.
much. I appreciate that, Dawn. That's high praise coming from you.
Oh, thank you. It was really well done. I just love it. How long have you been doing this, and what types of topics do you cover?
Yeah, it's kind of customer driven, really. And I have to tell you, before we started recording this, I think I mentioned to you, I went into this sort of kicking and screaming. I didn't want to do it. I mean, my job really is here under the roof of the Wishing Well, where I'm safely protected in my little bubble, and I like that. I mean, that's my comfort zone. But the other place that's really my comfort zone is in talking to people about something that I am so passionate about, that I love so much. I often joke and say I would happily do this job for no money. I'm glad I don't have to, but I would if I had to. But talking to people about travel and how to travel, man, this show was something that really had come full circle, and people needed to hear what was happening within the travel industry, and especially after COVID. They needed some help. They needed tips, and they needed to hear things that they weren't necessarily getting in the news. So many times in order to develop the content for our podcast, A Life Less Ordinary, I solicit to my listeners and ask them to tell us what they'd like to hear us talk about related to travel.
Yeah, the one I listened to was on railroad travel, which,
Yes.
my ears perked up big time on that because it's actually a bucket list item I have to travel across the country that way.
That's awesome.
Yes.
That's awesome.
That just feels so much. It feels so like it'd be a lot more fun than driving across the country. Just my personal opinion.
Amen. It is a lot of fun. I'll leave that to the truckers. They're the ones who drive those long hours, 18 wheels keep on rolling. But when I go across country, I want a nice, luxurious train to take me. Thank you very much.
Right. And I'm wondering, it sounds like you maybe even have done it yourself. What are some travel tips that you would give someone like me who wants to do this?
Get up off the couch and go. That's the tip. Get up and go. It's really not more complicated than that. And rail travel is probably one of the least restrictive types of travel that you can do. That's why I love it so much. You don't have the long security lines. You don't have the hassles like you do or like you feel at the airport. You keep your luggage with you, so you're going to have your clothes when you get where you're going. That's a bonus feature. I really love everything about it, how it feels. It's just very relaxing.
Yeah, if I wanted to do it from here out of Harrisonburg, where would I have to go to DC to make my way west?
You could,
Okay.
But you don't have to. There's a train station in Stanton. There's one in Charlottesville. We've used Richmond before, and all of those make wonderful connections to all points going anywhere, north or south.
Okay.
Or west. Yeah.
Or west. How long would it take to go all the way west? Do you know?
It depends. I mean, you can do that at your pace. If you were doing it at the train's pace, it could take you 3 days. But if you wanted to extend that and stop along the way, it could take as long as you wanted it to. A lot of folks will fly into Chicago and begin their rail trip west from that point, which is a lot of the ones that we do here. But you don't necessarily have to do that. You can actually begin right here at home, which makes it a much more realistic type trip for some of our more mature audiences.
I see. And then you give recommendations about some stops that we could make along the way?
Absolutely. And sightseeing and things to do when you get there. Yes, we take care of soup to nuts.
Soup to nuts. All right, making a note right now.
There you go.
You also have a Disney specialist I saw on your team on board. I think that's amazing. Now, I love Disney, and my grandparents, they're passed now, but I had grandparents that lived in Orlando. So I grew up going to Disney, and we did more of your DIY trips mainly because she lived there.
Sure.
But I imagine there are some really wonderful advantages of working with a Disney specialist. Can you expand on some of those for us? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I sing his praises. His name is Paul Helmuth. And he is everything Disney. I swear to you, this man eats, breathes, sleeps Disney. Everything he does is about Disney, and he loves it. He just absolutely loves it. And when you go on a vacation and you go to Disney, isn't that who you want to work with? You want to work with somebody who loves it as much as you want to love it while you're there. He can show you all of the ins and outs of even which line to stand in, which one moves the fastest, which are the best rides. And let me just tell you a little something about Disney. It is not for the faint of heart when it comes to planning. People think that Disney is this easy book when you're going on vacation, and it is magical. But let me tell you, you almost need a wand yourself to go through all of the ranks of everything that Disney has when you get into the booking process. And most people don't have a magic wand, so they need Paul. And Paul is one of those guys that can just produce some of the best Disney trips ever.
Yeah, I love Disney. I did a Disney trip for my 50th birthday. And
Good for you.
Yeah. It was the first time
That's great.
It was.
Wait a minute. You're 50?
50.
Yep. That goes nowhere. This is Vegas today. What's said here stays here.
Yeah, not iHeartRadio, Google, or anywhere anyone listens to this podcast. You all didn't hear that, laughers.
That's right. Snicker.
Well, as we wrap up here, can you share with the laughers how they can follow the Wishing Well on social media or otherwise so they can get all these wonderful team members to help them out?
I've got a beautiful music playing. You want me to stop right here before that so that ends? You can edit this part out.
I don't think I'm going to. What in the world are we listening to?
That's my clock.
Oh.
Yeah, and it's a magical clock. It comes all apart and goes all back together, which is a bit like my day sometimes. That's the music that you're hearing.
Oh, okay. Well, now I have to know the story of the clock. Okay, laughers, hold on. She's going to tell you how to follow them here in just a second. I need to know the story behind this clock.
That was a Mother's Day gift for me.
Okay.
And so I love it. I always love music boxes. I collect music boxes. It's one of my things. And so this clock was something that was gifted to me by my daughter on Mother's Day one year. And it's so appropriate to watch it just completely fall apart at the top of the hour and go back together again. It's wonderful.
You mean fall apart, like pieces in it come apart and then go back together?
Yeah, it actually just really sort of rolls all apart and then it just magically goes all back together again. It's just like life, Dawn. It's just like life.
Yes, it is. And we don't want our trips to fall apart or our
No, we
events.
don't. No, we don't.
And we need good flowers. So how can the lappers follow Wishing Well on social media or otherwise?
We are very easy to find. We are located in Harrisonburg, Virginia, in the beautiful Shenandoah Valley at 243 Neff Avenue in the Valley Center. They can look us up on the web, as you have, and they can find us at thewishingwell.biz, or they can call us the old-fashioned way. We still do that. It's area code 540-908-2333. And they can also follow along with us on Instagram and Facebook.
Excellent. And laughers, will be sure to put that information for you in the show notes as well. And as laughers know, if you follow us on social media, we typically put like a background image with our guests, a headshot on a graphic with a 30-second snippet. And because we talked about this clock, I'm going to see if I can't get a picture of this beautiful clock for you all, laughers, and put that on the social media, our social media, so you can see it because it's beautiful. Anyways, thank you so much for coming on the show today, Terry. It's been wonderful and eye-opening to talk to you about all things the Wishing Well. Thanks for making this time together so super fun. I appreciate it.
Oh, Dawn, it was my pleasure. And thanks so much for having me at Virginia is for Laughers. I can't think of a better thing to be doing on a Tuesday afternoon than sitting here with you and doing this show and just thinking about all the things I have to be grateful for and laughing about. And travel is one of those things that makes everybody feel good, just as what you do makes everybody feel good.
Thank you. I agree. Amen to that. Amen. Laughers, remember, whether you need floral arrangements, expertise in planning your next event, or booking your next getaway for yourself or a group, you are in good hands with the Wishing Well. They offer a wealth of experience that comes with that added personal touch that really do make your wishes come true. Visit their website at thewishingwell.biz. That's thewishingwell.biz, or give them a call at 540-908-2333. That's 540-908-2333 today. And lastly, and most importantly, thanks for tuning in, laughers. Out of all the podcasts out there, you picked us, and we think that's pretty darn special, just like you. Until next time, keep smiling. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Virginia is for Laughers podcast, brought to you by X2 Comedy. We'll be dropping a new podcast every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so check back for another uplifting episode. Come to an X2 Comedy show or let us bring a show to you. To find out more, head to x2comedy.com. Be sure to share us with a friend. Until next time, cheers.